Fire Emblem is a well-beloved series that's been around for decades. It really hit a home run recently with their previous game, Three Houses, that really expanded the reach and popularity. With this new entry, Fire Emblem Engage, they're kinda doing away with the whole school life and more into a traditional Fire Emblem pacing, but with some really good additions taken from past games. So is it worth playing? I'll be giving you a quick summary of the story, gameplay, then we'll come right back here with my final thoughts on the game, the good and the bad. Let's get started. Fire Emblem Engage was developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. It's available on the Nintendo Switch and is going for $59.99 US. All the footage you're seeing today was taken straight from my Fire Emblem Engage playthrough. Link in the description to my Let's Play YouTube channel if you want to see that. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitch and Discord for more stuff. Thanks a lot. Fire Emblem Engage takes place in its own world, separate from the past FE games. You play as a divine dragon in the form of a human, alongside your helpful companions, and the power of the rings, you take down an evil known as the Fell Dragon. Unfortunately, you were wounded and have been in a deep slumber for 1,000 years. You awaken coincidentally as the Fell Dragon begins his rampage again. You are greeted by your stewards, whose job it is to watch over you through generations. You have amnesia and can't remember your own mother. Chaos starts to ensue, and you quickly have to relearn how to be a powerful warrior again. The Fell Dragon wants to collect all of the legendary rings to amass unstoppable power. These rings hold the spirits of warriors, mages, and many other heroes from other worlds. Essentially, these are main characters from the past Fire Emblem games. So basically the plot is recover the rings, recruit new allies, build up your base, and take down the Fell Dragon. The gameplay of Fire Emblem Engage can be summed up in a couple of parts, these being story, combat, and base maintaining. Let's start with story. It's split into chapters which are tied around specific battles. You usually watch a narrative, do a battle, then move on to the next chapter. As you get further along the game, there's more to do in between each chapter, like side missions and such. Combat is exactly like past Fire Emblem games, with some small tweaks here and there. Missions play out with you surveying the battlefield, deploying units, then starting the battle and executing your goal. These are usually to defeat either a single enemy or all of them. It's a turn-based tactical game on grids. On your turn, each of your units can move, attack, and perform special actions like using items and interacting with map elements, such as entering houses and breaking down walls. After all of your units go, then all of the enemy, and then you go and rinse and repeat. The big combat gimmick of Fire Emblem Engage is the ring system. These powerful rings that you'll obtain throughout the story can be equipped to any of your units to increase their stats, gain new passive and active skills, and wield special weapons. They're insanely strong, but they do have limits. Once summoned, they can only be used for 3 turns before you have to build up the engage bar via more combat or special tiles that you can step on. And finally, the last major gameplay portion is the base management. In between story missions, you're free to roam around the world and your base, which is a floating castle and village. There's quite a lot of facilities here for interacting with teammates, buying, selling goods, adopting animals for item gathering, training, and way more for general improvements for your combat survivability. And that's Fire Emblem Engage in a nutshell. There's a ton more things to talk about, but we'll get into it in my final review here. Okay, so not a surprise, but this is a really amazing game. Right off the bat, I would say I highly recommend Fire Emblem Engage, guys. I don't really have much bad things to say about it. It's exactly what I expected from a Fire Emblem game. I guess if I were to nitpick some things, I'd say the story is very by the books. Oh, my character has amnesia. It's almost like an isekai. It's pretty predictable. I was able to predict, each of these plot points is, by the T. It's like no twists and turns here, but even though it's predictable, it's still entertaining, and that's what makes it pretty good. So it's slightly different than Three Houses, of course, especially, I would say, at the setting, but they somehow made it so it's kind of the same gameplay loop. If you've played the first one, you'll kind of understand what I mean here. instead of overwhelming you with a ton of students right off the bats, they slowly introduce characters you'll soon care about. As mentioned, the gameplay loop is very similar. You go to chapters, you're doing a battle, some in-between stuff, missions, etc. I think they took a lot of the good stuff from not just old Fire Emblem games, but Three Houses. I feel like the Three Houses is a big inspiration for a lot of the mechanics that they have in here now. So, instead of your monastery and school in between missions where you go hang out with other people, make food, train with them, do support stuff here, you have your floating castle, that grows when you do more missions. You get more vendors, you can hang out with your teammates, and even the Fire Emblem spirits hang around there. Lots of facilities. I mentioned stuff like training, but I'll go into more detail. There's like special mission battles you can do, which are completely optional. You have temporary minigame buffs like push-ups and sit-ups that have you mashing buttons or timing it to get a temporary boost. There's, like I said, the adoption center. So in each sort of land in the area, there's like 4 gigantic continents. You're going to be going to each of them throughout the story, and when you're done with the mission, you usually are able to walk around there, have another quick chat with your allies, find extra loot on the ground, and you could adopt some animals to go into your base. Some of the really interesting things that they've re-added here that wasn't in the other game, whereas you can now enter houses again. I remember doing that in the very first Fire Emblem. So you can just put a unit there and you get like money or loots, but you have to be careful because if you wait too long, other enemies like bandits can go over there and ransack it. So that's cool. I really like how they did away with durability on weapons, because there's a lot of special weapons here, especially from the the hero stuff, like you're gonna get Mart's rapier and stuff like that. So there is no more durability except for some really special items such as staves and something which heal and do extra special things. But yeah, it's so nice to not have to worry about that, but you still have to worry about consumables like vulneraries and stuff like that. Once again, there's more supporting in here. It's taken straight out of Three Houses, where you can, in between missions, you can go to your teammates that you really like, you can gift stuff, you can talk to them. But what they did here is kind of cool, because not only do you get support conversations with any character, and you can do it, like I said, just by giving them gifts, but better yet, you can, attack next to them and then you get a little bit of supports. After a mission, you talk to them and you get from like C rank, B rank to A rank, and for some cases you can go to S rank. Yes, there are romance options. You can be a guy or girl in this game. I guess I should mention you can rename them as well. Obviously, the default name, which I kept here, is Alir. So that's really weird. I have no idea why, but yeah, that's Alir, and yeah, you can be gay. So you have interactions with the other characters, and if you really like teaming up, specific units with each other, they're also going to have support conversations with each other, and when they fight in a battle next to each other, their stats will increase, so that really helps out there. I want to talk more about the Engage ring system, because this is the huge thing that's in the game now. So as mentioned, there's 12 hero wings, 12 hero rings, and there's going to be more in the DLC pack. At the start, there's no Three Houses characters, so Claude, Dimitri, and Edelgard are not in here, but they will be on day one. Basically, you equip them on any one of your characters, and you can summon their power and get super strong. This is really a nice idea, because essentially everyone starts with their own class. Like your main character is a warrior, you have an archer come with you later, you have a cavalier member. But switching all of these different rings on them allows them to not just, be able to use these new weapons, use these skills, but over time, once you bond with them just by simply playing with them more, you get SP, which you could use to permanently inherit some skills. So if Marth has a skill at bond level 3 that makes it so you have always 10 avoidance permanently, you can carry that skill, use it, equip it, and then you can put the ring on someone else. And not just passive skills, you have like special abilities as well. So there's a lot of mixing here, and you could really get creative with your characters. So yeah, they are at the very start set in their own class, but you can change that as well, and also customize their skills. Besides the hero rings, oh yeah, I forgot that way. Really quick, with the hero rings, you can also increase supports with them by polishing them. It's so weird. But basically, throughout the battles, like Marth's ring's gonna get dirty. There's an option in the base where you can have any one of your characters who you want to increase the support, like polish it. You do a small little mini game where you're rubbing it, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for rubbing my ring. Oh, amazing." It's really weird. But yes, I didn't mention it in the gameplay section, but there's a gacha mechanic in this game. But don't worry, there's it's only limited to the currency within the game. You are never ever paying for extra unless you're doing like the season pass and stuff. So as said, there's 12 rings, but you're gonna have way more characters. So what do you do? And especially at the beginning, you're gonna have like 2 to 3 rings at the beginning. So what are the other characters going to use? Well, you are able to use friendship points, which they call bond fragments here, and you can pull from different worlds. So okay, I'm gonna pull from Marth, I'm gonna pull from Sigurd's world, and then you can go ahead and get rings of various rarities. So you have like a C rank, B rank, A rank, and S rank rings, and they increase stats like strength, magic, HP, defense, all that good stuff. And it's random. It is random, but this is another way to tie in even more characters. So yes, you do see, the main characters, but you also see a lot of the side characters like Aguma and stuff like that from the very first Fire Emblem. And it's interesting because when you summon them, they are lesser rings, so you don't actually gain new abilities, but you're getting stats, and they show a little bit of a portrait next to them. So they are paying homage to all the old games, which is kind of cool. I do like that a lot. But yeah, you got to gadget up. But if you have multiple of them, you can pay a little bit more to combine them to fuse to a higher rank. So like I said, it's weird. It's funny. It comes straight out of like a mobile game where you're like, okay, do I get a good rank out of this one? At first I was like, this is weird. But then I'm like, okay, you're not really, it's not too hard to get the currency to do this. It's fun equipping it because once again, just like with the hero rings, you customize them. So okay, I want my mage character, I can either give him this really good magic ring or more avoidance, stuff like that. So it's just even more customization there. Okay, now for the difficulty of this game. I think so far the difficulty is a little bit harder than Three Houses for sure, and I think Three Houses was a easier game in general from what I understood. This one also has the rewind feature, and you can go an infinite amount of times here, and that's pretty much okay. It is up to you whether or not you wanted to use it or not. If you're interested, my first run I am playing on hard mode and classic, which is a permadeath. You can play normal, easy, hard, and I think maddening was unlocked from the start. I don't recall, but yeah, you can do classic, which makes it so if they die forever, except your main character, you're gonna have to restart. Or you can do casual, where if they die, don't worry, they'll come back at the end. So I am playing like that, but I do think it's a little bit harder, but the strategy is insane. There are so many ways to customize your characters, little small increases or decreases in all this little meta stuff. But if you are a Fire Emblem veteran, I highly recommend hard mode classic. That's the perfect way to start, then do maddening at a later date. But yeah, that's the perfect way to go into it. The music is very good, just as expected. I'm gonna have to go check out the soundtrack later. The voice acting is top notch as well. I'm keeping it in English, but at the beginning in the options, you do have the option to go straight from Japanese if you want. So that's good that it's there, accessibility. Graphics are really good in this game. Oh my god. They're using the Unity engine now, which is running at 60 FPS. Oh, it's so nice. Just look at some of the cutscenes I'm showing here now. I think in the last game, they were using the engine that they used the Warriors games on, and you could kind of tell back then. But here, it looks really, really good. Cutscenes are awesome. The in-between, which is them just hanging out and talking, you can see where they cut corners very slightly, but it's okay. It's still like a decent looking JPEG in the background. It does the job. It really does the job. Character designs are pretty good. Some units stand out way more than others, but there's a few favorites I really, really like. As usual, once you get the support conversations up, you can see everyone's quirks and things. It's an extremely solid game. As mentioned before in the final review section, high recommendation. I couldn't ask for more from a new Fire Emblem game. And that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like. It helps a lot. If you haven't already, please subscribe for more videos. Let me know your comments down below. What do you think about Fire Emblem Engage? Is there something you really like with this new system? Something they should have added? Something you just really don't like about it, etc. And also, if you want to see my Let's Play, MabiVsGames 2, which is my Let's Play channel, link down below. I'm also going to be streaming a lot of it on Twitch. Join the Discord. I always let you know when I go live. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.